Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pits of Metalcast. This is your host, Dave. I got along with me vocalist Donny Hillier from Trauma. How you doing, Donny?
I'm doing great, Dave. How are all you listeners and you doing tonight?
I'm good. Hopefully, all listeners are doing good out there. So now, Donny, you've been in this band since the very beginning in 1981, right?
Right.
Then the only other guy that's been in this band that almost as long as you had been 1982.
I'm not really sure. Maybe 83. Chris Gustafson, our drummer, he and I have been together a long time through it, and he was the drummer on the Scratch and Scream album.
Yeah. So how was it way back then with Cliff Burton in the band?
It was a pretty exciting time. Metal was kind of, still kind of a new genre, and our contemporaries back then were Exodus, Legacy, which is, Testament,
right.
Lodged Rocket, Anvil Chorus, Vicious Rumors, so you can kind of imagine, all these bands developing their craft back in the day. And, just like, the major influences at the time were Motorhead and Maiden and Dio, and Judas Priest, people who are still revered and listened to this day. So talk about staying power.
So now, are you the guy who actually put the band together?
No, I'm not. No, I was the last of the five. I was the missing piece, the singer. And no, I was actually doing a club gig with another band that I hadn't been with for very long. And Mike Overton, one of the very original founders and guitarists, approached me after the gig and asked if I'd be interested in checking their band out, and I was. I was just kind of making time with the band I was in, and he said they were a heavy metal band, and would I be interested in meeting them? And I said yeah. And so a couple days later, the four of them came to my apartment in downtown Oakland, California, and it was Mike and Tiger, George Lady, nicknamed Tiger, Dennis Schaefer, and Cliff. So they came up to my apartment, and we all clicked, liked each other. And a few days after that, I was jamming with them, and we were writing songs together.
Oh, that's awesome.
Definitely, yeah. Really good days, full of some great memories.
So now the Trauma, how was it when the first album came out? How long did it take to record that first album?
I think that was over a matter of a few weeks. As you can imagine, drums went down first and quickly. And we recorded the Scratch and Scream album up in Cotati, California. And it was a bit of a drive because all of us were in the immediate Bay Area. People outside the Bay Area might not really know the geography, but that's a good hour and a half away. So we were driving out to the country. So a lot got done on the first weekend. Drums, and the rhythm section, and then there were a lot of overdubs and things like that, and doing the vocals and the guitar solos and all that. So there, over about a 2-week period of time, lots of drives up and back. It's near Santa Rosa, California. If any of your listeners know where that is, the wine country.
Now, were you guys satisfied with the way the album came out?
Yeah, I mean, we were, you know, it was just cool to be doing an album with Mike Varney at Shrapnel Records, and this was at Prairie Sun Studios, and you know, we'd already had a lot of experience in studios. We'd had a manager in our early days, and he had built his own studio in Concord, California. That's where we kind of learned how to the basics of recording. The first time we were ever in a studio was when we did Such a Shame, which appeared on Metal Massacre 2. That was my first time in a studio, and I think probably everyone else's. And so after that, we started, you know, working out demos and things in our manager's studio. But he was gone by the time we did the Scratch and Scream album. So we were up at the studio that Mike Varney had most of his acts recording. But, you know, I mean, if you listen to Scratch and Scream today, you know, it's technology was different then.
Right.
And so, you know, the sound quality is a lot better on modern recordings.
Right. So now, what was it like seeing Cliff Burton go to Metallica?
Kind of tough. You know, he was, really knew the guitarists in the band really well. He'd known them longer than me. We were, you know, friends for about a 3 or 4 year period. It was really disappointing because, you know, everybody really liked Cliff a lot, and he was fantastic musician, as the world knows. And so it was, you know, it was a bit of a setback. And I know it was just a really kind of an emotional meeting because, you know, as Cliff told us that night, and it seems to be true, history's kind of borne it out, is Metallica had been recruiting him for about a year, and they had a lot going for him, and so it was kind of one of these tough calls of you know, leaving your friends to go into another band. And so we stayed friends with him, and in fact, Mike and I went to his first ever gig with Metallica, and we saw him, you know, occasionally when he would come home for tours. And so, you know, we wished him well, and that was all good. But, you know, kind of tough to lose him from our band.
Right. Now, you guys took a hiatus for a little bit, right?
Oh, a long time. So after Cliff left, about the same time Cliff left, Dennis Schaefer left, the drummer, and so we got recruited Chris Gustafson in on drums and Luke Advincula on bass. And Luke's a good bass player, so really most of the songs on the Scratch and Scream album were written. In fact, I forget which ones we played with Cliff, but most of them, or a lot of them, were written in the interim after Cliff and Dennis left and Chris and Luke came in. So it was, we just, you know, jumped back into the fray, if you will, as soon as we could find, you know, competent musicians.
Right. So the title track, Scratch and Scream, who wrote the song?
Well, Mike Overton, on that album, Mike Overton wrote the music and I wrote all the lyrics. So I'm the one that came up with the Scratch and Scream idea. It was just kind of fun, you know, it was an amusing title to us, and it's a sexual song, and so, you know, it's just kind of something we laughed about.
So you want to take a break and play that song right now?
Sure.
All right. Okay, we're back live on air with Donny. So we just heard the title track from Scratch and Scream. Hope everyone enjoyed that song. So you said that was a sexual song, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah, Scratch and Scream. Yeah,
So now, Donny, you guys got some shows coming up. You want to talk about the shows coming up?
Yeah, it's we also have an album coming out. Date's not set yet. Late April, it looks like. Could fall into early May. Things sometimes take longer than you think, and so we want to get out, hit the road with this lineup. We've got a really experienced touring lineup, and we want to, play parts of the country that don't know us or people have wanted to see us, and we want to see them. So we will starting April 20th. We will start out in Phoenix, Arizona, and then we're going to fly to Chicago the next day and play
the Bada Brew.
Yeah, I'm pulling up, kind of pulling up the itinerary. Play the Bada Brew, and then we're going to Lakewood, Ohio, playing the Foundry, Mohawk Place in Buffalo, New York, the Middle East in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is next to Boston, and then we're going to the Kingsland in Brooklyn, New York, and then got a couple days off to do some radio spots and kind of hang around with some people in New York who are going to be working with the band, and then we fly to San Diego to do the Brick by Brick, and so it's our first serious touring, but this is the present lineup of the band. One of the guitarists is Joe Frolab, who spent some time touring with Danzig, and he's also had some of his own bands. And we've got Steve Rebello on guitar. Steve toured Europe a couple of times with Dublin Death Control with Chuck Billy and Steve Zetro Souza. And then we've got Chris, who has played in Europe extensively. He had a band with a few of the members of Crocus, and he's toured all over the U.S. For years. And then last, and clearly not least, is Greg Christian from Testament on bass guitar. So these are, all people that really like to get out and play. And so this will be, be our first tour through other parts of the country, and just letting everybody know this is something we want to do.
So now, in your hometown in California, how you guys received over there nowadays?
There's not much happening here for metal. We have not played in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while. We played a show in the East Bay, what's called the East Bay, at a venue called Vinny's, where some touring acts come through and play there. And then we have played in Sacramento. Sacramento, and a few of the guys live in the Sacramento area, and we have played at Steve Rebello, one of our guitarists, has his own brewery. How's that sound? Brewery, restaurant, nightclub, and we've played there a couple of times, and we have not really. Since this lineup came into the band, most of our focus was on writing the songs and recording the songs for our upcoming album, which is called As the World Dies. And so we did do the 70,000 Tons of Metal last year, and seems like there was a few. Yeah, we made a trip down to L.A. and played a few spots down there, but like I said, mostly it's been writing for this album, getting the album done, and now we're ready to play live.
So how was the experience of playing 70,000 Tons of Metal?
Oh, fantastic. It's really a good time. It was, something I won't, forget. People are so cool on board that ship, and you just interact with other musicians and metal fans all day. You walk around and you talk to people and eating in the restaurants with them. And a really thing about that is the ship's crew. They will tell you this is their favorite week of the year, because the metal people are so cool. They're not pretentious like maybe your average cruiser, who is, a luxury cruiser. It's just a great feeling, and there's a great camaraderie, and people just treat each other really well. It's quite an experience, and we talk to countless people that that are now going every year. I mean, that's their vacation or their future vacation of the year, and there are literally bands and people from all over the world. Have you done that, Dave?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I think you would love it. Because you're so into metal and doing your show and all that. I mean, this is right up your alley. That you would just love it. And the ship is huge. And so it's first class. I mean, everything is just so well done. And, the music is almost 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Live performances.
So now when you guys did the 2 sets, did you guys change the songs? You did the same set each time?
Actually, we did the same set each time. We kind of, because we had fairly new members in the band, so we were, rehearsing to go do that show. So we knew approximate set times, and we just picked out, the songs we most wanted to play at that time. And we did the same set twice.
Okay, so now with this upcoming album coming out, are the songs recorded yet?
Yeah, everything's it's all recorded. It's been mastered. It was sent over to Sweden for recording, and for mastering. We worked with Juan Ortega, who is a fantastic engineer, and he did some production work. Also, Joe Frolub, one of our guitarists, is an experienced engineer and producer. And Joe actually was a former studio owner, so he knows his way around a studio. But Juan Ortega has worked with a lot of really, really well-known bands. Machine Head, he's done numerous Testament albums. I think Exodus, Vicious Rumors. He's really known as one of the metal engineer producers in the West Coast. So it was really a pleasure working with him. But yeah, everything's done, and artwork is being done now, and we're getting close to release.
So can you tell us how many tracks will be on the album?
There's 10 tracks on it. And one of them is a song called "The Rage" that we actually released through Blabbermouth last year in June, and it was at the time that Greg Christian joined the band. We wanted to let people know that he was our bass guitarist and that we would be recording an album. So our management had this song released, and it's been on iTunes for quite some time. I don't know. Yeah, it's been on Spotify. I know it's on Spotify, and some of the digital services. And we put it out on the internet free. So that's one of the songs on the album, and then 9 others that really we wrote over the last year. and we recorded them through the late fall and early winter this year. And we will be playing 5 or 6 of them when we go out live.
So on this current tour, you guys are originally scheduled to play NYDM Spring Bash in Milwaukee. What happened with that show?
Yeah, we were. That's right. And there was some communication breakdowns and misunderstandings about obligations on it, and scheduling conflict. And so we and the promoter mutually agreed to for us to be off the bill, and we are going to play in Phoenix instead.
Okay. So now the new album, this is going to be your 3rd studio album now?
I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, it'll be the 3rd studio album.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the 2nd album.
Okay.
Now, for that one, how was the recording process for that one?
It was. I'm trying to think. I articulate how that was. It was not as big a production as the current album, and so we kind of did an old school recording based on friendships and connections of some of the members of the band, and it was more old school style. It was a pretty stripped down album. There was one guitarist on the album, a different bass player, and the songs are a little more basic than what we're playing today, and there aren't a lot of overdubs and a lot of there are fewer tracks on it, if you will, and I don't mean song tracks. I mean there's less tracking done on it. So it was a simpler approach to recording.
And I know you guys made a music video for When I Die.
We did, yeah. We did. We have been playing and probably will continue to play that song When I Die, and we're playing Too Late. And we had done a number of other songs live back when Kurt Fry was our guitarist when we were doing shows. But those are probably the 2 survivors from that album that we'll be playing live, and really we'll be playing some of the established songs from Scratch and Scream, and really excited about playing some of the new songs. Now,
so let me ask you this question: what age did you begin singing?
I used to hang around with friends. Literally a garage band. So I'm gonna say about 17. Friends get together, and people that had some musical talent and some musical interest, and so just learning cover songs and just for the fun of it, and then I kind of liked it, and just I felt like I was the one and only person of my group of friends that wanted to be more serious about it, and then one thing leads to another, and like anything that you pursue, you just delve into more and start thinking more seriously about it.
Right.
So then I realized, what? I want to be in a band. So yeah.
So how many bands did you play in prior to being in Trauma?
Let's see. That's a good question. Serious bands? Just a few. I did a bunch of clubs and stuff, and cover bands and all of that. And but as far as totally original bands, maybe two. Well, not even. Those wouldn't have been totally original bands. That would be a mix of covers and originals. Trauma was really the first really serious band that wanted to record and play out different scene, as you know, doing covers and being in an original touring band. So Trauma was really the first band that I would say was really serious. And in all of the interim, because Trauma didn't exist for years, I went from between just jamming with friends and acquaintances to, I would say, one serious band, which led up to Chris and me both being available to restart Trauma. A lot of the reason why we were gone for so many years was Chris was so busy with other bands and tours that we weren't in the same place at the same time.
Right. So now with this upcoming album, are you guys looking to make any music videos for this new album?
It's been talked about. We might do a lyric video first. There was discussion as recently as a week ago about a music video, and a couple of names were mentioned. Nothing is really set, no real serious plan on that right now. I guess what we'll be doing for the next month is, rehearsing to go out and then go play those shows that we already talked about, and then I think we'll see after that.
Now, is there any plans to do a European tour?
We would definitely like to. The answer is no. There was discussion about doing some dates in March. We're with a booking agency called Artery Global, and there were some tentative dates. We were going to do some work in March, but it got scrapped in part because we had both some February dates booked in March, and just getting the album finished and doing all the support work for the album really took priority, so we didn't go through with any of them. But after we do this, these April dates, then we would like to, see what we can do about going over to Europe. And I know it's kind of late for the festivals over there, but we'll see what we can do. We want to go, and so that's our intention, is to go over to Europe.
Right. So now, being a vocalist, what other vocalists inspired you?
Oh yeah, lots of them. I mean, Bruce Dickinson, Dio, of course, Rob Halford, Robert Plant. I love Zeppelin. Those would probably be, my favorites. I may be forgetting somebody, but yeah, those, I really like all those singers a lot. They're just quality voices.
Now, have you heard the new Judas Priest album?
I've heard some of it, yeah. Not all of it. And I know it's doing really well. And, the sound is there. I really like it. How about you?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I know they're on tour now, so that's way cool. And I'm sure they're kicking ass.
Yeah, it's good for heavy metal.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess they've been, charting really well, and you just said it, it's really good for metal because, they're getting a lot of attention back on the genre, so good for them.
And of course they got the mighty Saxon with them on tour.
Oh yeah, nice, yeah. Yeah, we played with Saxon years ago in the Bay Area, and yeah, that was cool. I mean, that's a good. They've been through here too. I think they were in Sacramento like a year or so ago, about a year ago, and so I don't know if they, if they're going to do their own tour, but how can you beat going out with Priest?
Right. So now, Donny, in your opinion, what are the pros and cons of the music business?
Digital recording, sucked a lot of the money out of the industry. So there's, it's such a double-edged sword because, back in the day it seemed like there was more money. Record companies made more money. Album sales, cassette sales, CD sales. But, with the digital format, of course, lends itself to piracy. So, many people do not buy recordings. They just download for free, right? And so that really changed everything. So, but on the other hand, digital recording is something that many people can do themselves. And so the record companies aren't the gatekeepers that they used to be. So that means really anybody can make a recording but do they get the support to get that recording out to the public? So it's changed dramatically. But it's also really interesting. One thing I notice is a lot of metal bands are playing small venues. And so is that because there's less money, for the genre or for a live artist period? Or is it just that metal isn't very mainstream because you got pop and hip hop and country and all that? But so I guess the bottom line is it's always tough to make it in the music industry, and you have to be really stubborn and really have to love the hell out of it because there's so many barriers you can't get past them.
Right. So what do you think about social media?
I think it's a great thing. I mean, back when we did the Scratch and Scream album, one of the reasons why Trauma disbanded was we had parted ways with our then manager because he was kind of a controversial guy, polarizing person, and had done some things that the band members, didn't want to work with him anymore. So we had no management, and there wasn't any social media. It was literally snail mail, and so we didn't even know, if people were making our album or not. Really, Shrapnel Records was not in the business of supporting the bands they recorded. They recorded them and then went on to the next recording, the next band. But there was no real follow-up with them. And so social media, is a great thing for musicians now, or all artists, because you really can, communicate with a fan base, know how you're doing, and again, those are all things that Trauma did not do and did not have access to back in the day because it didn't exist. We've discovered it. For instance, when Chris would play around Europe and through the United States, he would have people, talk to him. You were the drummer in Trauma. Well, back here in California, even after the band had disbanded, we had no idea people, really knew anything about the band. And he was always really surprised by that. If there had been social media, we, probably would have stayed together and, would have had a chance of communicating with all these fans that we didn't know.
Yeah. So now, for the band Trauma, what's been your fondest memory of being in the band?
fondest memory. Oh, wow. Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, I can't single out one. You know, back in the early '80s, mid '80s, when we were playing, it was really exciting to go out and play live shows. Being in recording studios and recording, great memories. Of course, I have great memories of playing with Cliff and Mike Overton, Ross Alexander Merston. God, there's a lot of great memories. You know, that's why you do it, and you have to love it. The trips to L.A., a road trip to Seattle, of course the 70,000 tons of metal. Our trip to Germany a few years back when we played the HOA festival. I mean, just great memories. A lot of great people. I couldn't single one out, Dave, and you know, really looking forward to going out on the road and playing the Midwest and then the Northeast, what's coming up. And then and again on that trip we'll also be hitting southwestern United States. So I think for musicians that go out and play on the road, they're building great memories, you know, even some of the rude surprises, you know, travel surprises that happen, you laugh about it later. And so the whole process is can be all encompassing. There's a lot of good memories associated with it. I mean, some rehearsals are just really fun, but I guess I really couldn't single one out.
Now, do you have one funny or embarrassing moment?
Embarrassing moment? God, probably. I'm trying to think. What would be? You mean like an on stage?
Yeah,
thing?
Yeah.
No real disaster other than ripping my pants once, but it was in the back, not the front, so that was all right. But yeah, that's about it. And God, I don't, embarrassing. No doubt, you know, I've probably made a fool of myself. Nothing's really coming to mind right now.
Now, what kind of advice would you give up-and-coming bands that are starting out?
Yeah, stick with it. Really, you know, bottom line, and you really have to love it. This is kind of you know, a segue from my last long answer that I just gave you is you have to love it, you know, all of it, you know, the lifestyle, the songwriting, the recruiting, you know, kindred band members, going to rehearsal, just the whole thing, because it really is a lifestyle, and there's, you know, discouraging moments and disappointing moments, and things aren't always what, you know, you picture them to be. And okay, so take trauma, for example. We lost decades of time by disbanding, and you know, thankfully, you know, we've got a new lineup, and we're, you know, we've made a comeback, but stay with it, you know. You know, there's so many challenges to being successful, but you have to love being a musician, and you're kind of the type of person that when you're not being a musician, or if you lay off, you know, being in a band or songwriting or whatever for a period of time, something's not quite right, and that's because you are a musician. So just keep doing it, and keep refining your craft, because that's really what it takes. I mean, you know, everybody pays their dues, and everybody goes through some rough times, right, and disappointment. Yep.
So now the best way for fans listening to find all the shows coming up would be on the Facebook band page?
Yeah, there is a website, but but I haven't even looked at it for, quite some time. It's traumametal.com. But most people don't really pay that much attention to websites right now. So yeah, it's Facebook. There's a lot of pictures of Joe and Greg went down to the Whiskey A Go-Go last week and played in a Slayer tribute with, kind of an all-star cast. And so they have this series of all-star jams down at the Whiskey every week, and very good friends of Joe's, Jessica Chase and Ira Black, are very involved in putting on this all-star jam. So they went down and did that and had a great time down there at the Whiskey. And so there's a lot of pictures currently of that show on our Facebook page, and then our tour dates are there. Some pictures of the band. We just did a photo shoot last week, and the song that we put out last June, The Rage, the single that we did, which is really very representative of what the band sounds like today, and no two songs are the same on the album, but you kind of get a picture of the musicianship